Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I'm going to be going over my August wrap up. I'm going to go over my top reads from August and a little bit of my stats. I had a pretty good month I got a couple 6 stars to go over. Didn't read as much as I wanted to as like the previous month, but it still was a great month for me. So let's go ahead and dive into my August wrap up. Okay guys, so before I get started, just real quickly, if you're new here, I actually do weekly wrap-ups because I tend to talk a lot about the books that I read, and it was getting to be these long mid-month and end-of-the-month wrap-ups that I was doing. So in this video, I'm not going to be going into all the books I read in August. I'm just going to go over my top 5 books. If you are interested and you want to know more about each book I read, I have a playlist for my 2024 weekly reads. I will try to remember to put that up in the cards, but you should definitely check that out. Also, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give me a like, let me know your favorite book from August. I'd love to hear from you. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to start off with my stats. I don't know if you care about this, but it's just something I'm keeping track of because I do have a spreadsheet and I keep track of, all the books that I read. So for August, I had 2 6-star reads, which is fantastic. I had 11 5 stars, 1 4.5 star, 11 4 stars, and then 3 3.5 stars. So pretty good. I mean, I think the previous couple months I had some 2 2.5 stars, so not too bad. I don't really have anything that I like absolutely hated or anything, so that is good. I had read 6 contemporaries, 6 mafia, 6 dark romance, 6 sports romance, 3 historical, and 1 fantasy. If you can tell, I read a lot of dark romance and mafia. And then I had 15 audiobooks, 11 ebooks, and 2 physical books that I read. All together with ARCs and ALCs, I had, I think, 14 ARCs, but that's both the e-ARCs and the advanced listening copies. So all in all, I read 28 books for August. So it was pretty slow going the last couple weeks for me. I wasn't as on top of my reading, and it's just been kind of a struggle. But I'm excited because we're going into September for the Romance Readathon. So I think I'm going to do a little bit better next month. At least I'm hoping so. So those are just some of my quick stats. To go over my favorite books, I'm going to go over my top 5 books. And one of these I'm going to bring up is actually just the full trilogy. I mean, you could just say the first book, but I'm bringing up the full trilogy that I read. Anyways, the first book that I want to bring up is probably no surprise, and that is Heart of Frost and Scars by Pam Godwin. This is the final and the third and final book in her Frozen Fate trilogy. And this series is all 6 stars for me. I'm upping my rating to 6 stars for the first 2 books because I was waiting till it was finished to see if it was a 6-star series, and it fucking is. It is insane. It's amazing. You'll go on a crazy journey. This is probably going to be my top reads of the year. It's fantastic. I can't stop talking, thinking anything about it. It lives in my head rent-free, and it's amazing. Obviously, I can't really go into a lot of detail on this because it's the 3rd book, and it would spoil so much. Because I do say I think it's good if you go into Hills and Shivers and Shadows, which is the first book, blind. And as long as you're okay with that, if you have big triggers, make sure you check your triggers. Because let me tell you, people, this series is fucking dark. It'll push your boundaries. But Pam does it in such a perfect way. None of it is gratuitous or just to be dark for dark's sake like a lot of these books do. everything is there for a reason and has healing and all this stuff. So Pam Godwin is my favorite author. She is just the best. She's my dark romance queen, and she's phenomenal. So I will never stop just raving about her. I just won't. So just to sum up, this is a series where a woman, Frankie, is kidnapped. She was married and found out she was pregnant. Her and her husband got into an argument. He did not want kids. And that same night, she is kidnapped by Denver, who is this very good-looking, mysterious, but very dangerous man. And he kidnaps her and takes her out to the Arctic in Alaska. So this whole thing is set in Alaska, but his is the Arctic, where it's the middle of nowhere. And he flies her out there to live in his kind of homestead out there. And it's him and his 3 sons. And so this is a why choose romance. So you don't know who her partners are fully going to be. People die, things go on. It's crazy. But in this final book, it's the conclusion of all that. It's how do these people make it work from where they were in book 1 and book 2 as this they're all together type of thing. I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to give anything away. I will be posting a spoiler vlog soon. I was just waiting a little bit till the whole series, till the book has come out for a couple weeks before I post that, because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But I did do vlogs for the first 2, so you can definitely check those out too. But this book blew me away. It was emotional. I cried a couple times. It's dark. It's crazy. I just love these boys so much. Kodiak is my favorite, and I really loved it. So I ended up giving this one 6 stars, and I want to say more to go into why I loved it, but it would spoil the other book, so I just can't go into it. Just trust me, if you like dark romance, if you're not afraid of triggering kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend this. This is the best trilogy, best why choose I've ever read. Okay, so the next book that I want to bring up is also my other 6-star read, of course, and that is A Court of Wings and Ruin. I finally read this book, people. I finally did it, and it was a fucking experience. I ugly cried 2 times with snot, tears on the pages, everything. It was amazing. Again, this is a 3rd book in a series, so if you haven't read it, which I'm sure there's not many of you that haven't, but I hadn't, so I know you're out there. But this is Feyre and Rhysand's love story. The 2nd book was a 6-star for me. I loved it. I listened to this one on graphic audio while I read and annotated it. And it was just such an amazing book. It blew me away. It was action-packed, beautiful, romantic. And I just love this world that Sarah J. Maas has built. Just seeing Rhys and Feyre come into their relationship and be fully a couple. They are fated mates. We have his whole inner circle that I fucking love. Every single one of them. I don't really care about her younger sisters much or whatever, but you know what? I love Nesta. I know a lot of people don't like Nesta, but I love seeing more of her in this book and seeing what kind of power she has. And I know she's a prickly bitch, but I love a prickly heroine when it's done right. And I really think Sarah J. Maas does Nesta perfect. She's such a multifaceted character that is just so unique. And there's so much more to her, so many layers. And I just want to peel that onion and discover more about Nesta. So I am so freaking excited to read Nesta's book soon. But this one was fantastic. I was emotional. I'm so connected to Rhysand and Feyre. Feyre really comes into her own and fully is a badass bitch in this, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to protect Rhysand and their little inner circle and the Night Court and all of that. So a lot going on because it's their war with Hybern, and everything's coming to, this big climax, this big ending of this war that they're doing. So a lot of other characters are introduced. I hated Tamlin even more than I hated in the 2nd book. So I just loved it. It was fantastic. 6 stars. I loved it so much. It was so good. Okay, the other one that I want to bring up is The Prey by J.L. Beck. This was an arc that I read. This is the 3rd book in the Oakmount Elite series, and I liked the Wallflower and Wildflower. I thought it was okay. I think it was like 4 stars. But this one I gave 5 stars to because I really loved Sebastian. Sebastian this is a bully, dark college romance. Seems very mafia type, where he's going to be in power of this mafia type of family. The opening is very crazy. You have a lot of questions throughout this book of like, what the fuck is going on? And it leaves off on a cliffhanger, so I'm waiting for the next book. But he basically has a lease, and she works as a maid in his house because her father owed them like a debt, and basically she was given up to pay that debt or whatever. There's a lot more crazy stuff in Elisa's history, but you could tell she's blocked out a lot of it for trauma. And the opening like scenes are crazy with how she's there. But Sebastian is very obsessed with her, stalkerish, like very boy obsessed, but he really is mean to her and pushes her away because he doesn't want to fuck her up, and he knows he's just a mess and like he's dangerous and all these types of things. So it's to protect her. So it's very slow burn where you're dying for these two to get together. And then once they do, it is so fucking hot. There's a lot of primal play and knife play in this. Like, he's very into using his knife. And I didn't mind it. I actually had a really great time with it. So I love Sebastian. I love a man that's pining after a woman, or he's obsessed and he's so protective over her. So I really, really had a great time with that one. Okay, so the one that I want to bring up that's a trilogy is the Monster Trilogy by Rina Kent. The first book was Blood of My Monster, and this is set in the Bratva. And the first book is, well, they're all about Kirill and Sasha. And Kirill is high up in the Bratva, but he ends up going to fight in like the military in Russia and everything. And his dad's a place of power in Bratva, you know, mafia. So he ends up kind of taking Sasha under his wing. She is a woman posing as a man in the military. He knows she's a woman, but he keeps her secret, and he kind of helps her, and she becomes part of his team. Eventually, he has to go back home, and she goes with him as his bodyguard. And there's a lot of secrets, a lot of effed up stuff going on because her family was totally annihilated, assassinated, brutally attacked when she was younger. And so all of this is as a place of keeping her safe, but also her revenge against what happened to her family. And she happened to see Kirill's father and realized that guy might be responsible. So that's why she kind of follows Kirill. But she ends up falling for Kirill. Once he kind of tells her he knew she was a woman, things get pretty physical with them. Kirill is amazing. He's one of my favorite like heroes that Rina's done. He's very possessive, protective, ruthless. He don't give a fuck about anybody except for Sasha. He's very like smart. He has like plans A, B, C, D, E, and he's gonna get what he wants, which he wants to be at the top of the Bratva. So this is 3 books. I got them all on audiobook, and I highly recommend them. The audiobooks were fantastic. It had duet narration. It was so good. I flew through those audiobooks, and they were fantastic. So every book in that series, in that trilogy, I gave 5 stars to. So it's one of my favorites from Rina Kent. Okay, and then I have Falling Like Stars by Emma Scott. I've only read one Emma Scott before, and it was kind of more like, I don't know if you want to say fantasy or paranormal. It wasn't like her usual contemporary one. So I signed up for the arc for this one, and I was very impressed with it because she does write more emotional romances. And this is between Rowan and Zach. And Rowan lost her boyfriend when she was a teenager. He died. He got hit by a car right in front of her. And so she was very traumatized by that and felt extremely guilty and thinks that she doesn't deserve anymore. So she kind of basically only hooks up with bad guys, doesn't get in relationships. She didn't go for the career she wanted. So she's working as a PA in Hollywood, and she happens to meet Zach, who's like the rising it guy of Hollywood. He was in a big show. He had this long-term relationship with this crazy bitch, and they finally broke up. And so he's doing movies. He's up for Oscars, and he's just this wonderful guy. He's not all about the Hollywood stuff. And he meets her and is instantly intrigued by her. And he kind of follows her one day because she was sneaking off on the set to go to this hot tub. And they end up hanging out in the hot tub and just kind of questioning each other, like getting to know each other. And so he offers her a role, like not a role, but a job as a PA on the set of his new movie that was going to be in Alaska. So she ends up taking it, and they start to fall for each other, and things get romantic. The reason I love this book was the mental health rep in this. She has severe anxiety, guilt. There's such dealing with guilt and loss, and like how loss of a loved one and kind of just a deep depression and all that kind of stuff. And in this, she actually starts to go to a therapist, and we see that on page. And I just really appreciated that, because a lot of times books just reference the therapy, and this was part of the story because she really never dealt with that loss, and it was fucking up her whole life. And so she starts to actually actively go to therapy in this book, and that's why I loved it. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars. It was fantastic. He also has to deal with his ex, who is a very toxic narcissist type of person, and so she leads to issues with them, and she was physically abusive to him too. So I think Emma Scott tackled some important issues, and it really was a beautiful romance between them, and I really liked it. So I ended up giving that one 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it, and I want to read more Emma Scott now. So just to briefly say, probably my worst books of the month, they were 3.5 stars, was Frisco by Tihan. It was just a big letdown for me. I was so bored. I could barely get through it. It was an MC romance, and like the whole plot line didn't really make a lot of sense. I didn't really like the heroine that much. So it was a struggle. So I ended up giving that one 3.5. And then Fumbled, which is the first book in Lisa Suzanne's series. I thought these were all like, I signed up for the ALCs for the whole series, thinking it was like different couples per book, but really it's one couple for like 5 books, and they're very small, short books. And so I didn't realize that. So that was on me. But the first book is like literally nothing happens romantic wise. Like it's an enemies situation. Like the heroine is such a fucking bitch, judgmental. Like she was a prickly heroine done wrong in that. And so I did not like that book at all. Like it didn't but it gets better throughout the series, where now I actually am okay with her character. But that's why you shouldn't split them up into these tiny little books if you're not going to have any character growth in it. So, but that's just me. So I ended up giving both those 3.5 stars. So basically I had a really good month. I read 28 books, but I mean 2 6 stars is fantastic. Some of my favorite books of the year were from this month. So I had a great time, and I'm hoping that I'm going to see you guys in the Romance Readathon in September. It's all month long. It's not too late to sign up, but I'm so excited for it because we get competitive and we read a lot. All right, my voice is kind of going out because we also did reading sprints today for that readathon, and I'm done now. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys on the next one.